Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tom, otherwise known as the One Meal Channel. I'm your host, Nathan, where I make a massive pile of food for myself because I only eat one meal a day. It's the One Meal Channel because only one meal is made every day. If you want to enjoy this video as much as I enjoy making these videos, grab yourself your own food or maybe a beverage of your choice and let's enjoy it together and get into the video. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back. It's time to get back into some routines. I want to say thank you to some of the new viewers that have joined us recently who have been leaving me long comments with their advice and suggestions on other things that I can make. You have picked up on some of my the things that I like pretty quickly. You can tell that I like cooking with rice and chicken. You can tell that I like my habits, but you're also picking up on my desire to change things up with a crock pot meal every once in a while, especially over the week. So I had like 2 crock pot meals back to back, which essentially is like 3 portions worth of food. And because of that, I'm engorging myself on that crock pot meal for the last few days. This is why we didn't have a video yesterday. We're gonna head back to a tried and true, well appreciated system, which is our chicken egg fried rice. And we're not going to worry about it because it's basically just there for me to get the calories that I need. And it's, for me, it's a bit of a comfort food. It's just easy and simple to put together. It's something that I like and don't get tired of, and that I can put together in a pretty short amount of time, all things considered. That being said, we have had additional suggestions like cooking with barley in order to make a, a beef soup, beef and barley soup. And you brought back memories for me, Mr. Commenter, who's been a chef for a good portion of their life. My mom used to make a beef and barley soup that I really enjoyed. And the meaty texture of the barley is something that I have not had in a very long time. So making that for myself actually sounds quite therapeutic, and I'm going to enjoy doing that in the crock pot probably at the end of this week. The new job is going well. Some of you I know were interested in hearing about that. It's going well. For those of you who don't know, I work in sales. Sales is an extremely stressful type of job. So of course, I'm still working in a job that's extremely stressful, but it's a good kind of stress, right? I had somebody I worked in sales for a while, so I've gotten a lot of different sales advice from a lot of different leaders and mentors and managers. I've never had a bad manager. I've never had a bad mentor. But some people have had more value to me than others. And I can't remember the exact person who said this, but he wasn't a manager of mine. It wasn't from any of my work experiences that I had. And he said, you got to find what motivates you. And it can be a combination of things, but it has to fit into a couple of categories. It has to fit into you being motivated by, what you can accomplish, right? And for a lot of people, that's like your dream boards. They talk about, if you've heard that technique, writing something down, your goals, what you want to accomplish, what do you want to reach in the future. And the other thing is being motivated by fear. So what are you running towards and what are you running away from? And for a lot of people, a combination helps, right? It's about running towards all of the things that you desire and running away from all of the things that you don't desire. For me, what seems to work exclusively is just fear. Running away from the things that I don't desire is one of the best motivators for me in all aspects of my life, not just work. Doing things or having things happen to me in the short life that I've had. I'm in my mid-20s. Basically the last 10 years. I wanted to be an adult really bad when I was 16 and only had an opportunity to when I actually turned 18. But the point is, I've had some things happen to me that I do not want to happen again, that are in my control, and so I want to make sure that I can do everything that I can financially and also with my personal decisions to make sure that they do not happen. And I feel like a lot of us have those types of feelings and lots of experiences. And with work, it's about financially. How do I want to be viewed by my coworkers? How do I want to be viewed by my managers? And arguably most importantly, how do I want to be viewed by my customers? Which is kind of a rare experience that only salespeople that really care get to experience, and business owners and things like that. So I'm at this point now that I'm in, probably like my third sales role of my career. It's not unusual for you to be cut or traded or moved around within a company, no matter how good you are. But this is my third sales role. And at this point, I'm starting to work. I have some customers who have been with me since the beginning, since the very first sales role. And I want to be in this one for a pretty long time, assuming it's the right thing to do, so that my customers stick with me even longer. I don't want them to have to deal with me jumping around to a whole bunch of different organizations and waiting on me in order for them to be able to do their job. Because guess what? They don't wait on me. They don't prioritize me over what they have to do, which is the right thing to do. So, with that all being said, it's a good type of stress, because this job equips me to run away from my fears compared to other jobs where they kind of ask you to deal with them. Getting a phone call from a spam call. Don't you love that about your phones now? Is it'll tell you what they anticipate is a spam call and what they anticipate is a legitimate call. And then they give you a little recap, a little voice to text on what everyone said in the voicemail, and you can decide for yourself whether or not you call them back. I like that. I like that a lot. And you know who else really likes that? My prospects. The people who aren't my customers that I'm calling on. I bet they love that, because they can just send a number they don't recognize to voicemail, and they don't have to answer me. They can just ignore it. And that's when you've got to make sure you leave a pretty good voicemail, because they're not going to be listening to what you have to say. They're going to be listening to whatever pops up in that voice-to-speech box, or voice-to-text box. You better leave something good. So I'll be out of onboarding on Wednesday, in the clear to do my own thing. I'm going to carve my own path on Thursday, and I'm really looking forward to that. Onboarding has been great. Basically, you just have a coach with you over this time that's teaching you all of the tools, giving you a little bit of sales training. 2 weeks is not enough to train somebody on sales, but my first ever sales job, it was like a 90-day onboarding process. And they said that only half of the people in our onboarding class would make it to the end, because it was so intensive and difficult. And then they said only about 10% of people that made it to the sales floor would make it past the first year. And there's some truth to that, but I happen to be a part of a very talented sales group, because I think about 60% of people made it through onboarding, and I think about 60% of those people actually made it through their first year as well. They did very well for themselves, and I still follow all of them on social media and other ways of keeping in touch, and they've gone on to become sales managers. It's been like 8 years since then. They've gone on to become sales managers, so leaders of their own. They've gone on to other organizations where they have made way more money than they were in the organization we started in. And many of them are still at the organization that I started in, doing really, really well for themselves. So I like that. I absolutely like that. It's good to have been keeping in touch with them over the last couple of years. Let's see what we got going for us. Enough about work. Noah and I have an agreement that after work, we're not allowed to talk about work, because we can talk about work so much. I'm not going to tell you what Noah does. I think I have in the past, but I just want to respect his privacy. But we both have very stressful career fields, and we don't do the bare minimum. We try to do as much as we can. So we're constantly tackling additional responsibilities. And we used to convene pretty regularly here in the living room and in the kitchen, because it's kind of, an open space. So we used to convene here pretty regularly for lunch or for, whatever else, whatever reason we found ourselves in here, getting a drink of water. And I wouldn't say complaining, but just vetting how we don't know how we're going to solve certain challenges. And sometimes we could give each other advice that would help the other person solve the challenge. And other times there was somebody else that we work with getting in our way, keeping us from being able to solve those challenges. And in that case, yeah, all we can do is complain. It's 6:30 now, so enough work talk. I'm kind of cheating right now, talking about work with you rather than talking about work with him. Coming out here and making my tried and true Nathan meal is therapeutic to me, because I can kind of make it without thinking now. With that being said, like I said, the long comments that I've been getting on some of my past videos have been really productive. This person obviously is someone who is an excellent communicator and a really good writer as well, because they've been cooking for a really long time and they saw some of the techniques that I was using in cooking my own food, and instead of like just telling me what a shitty job I did, because frankly I did a very shitty job, they said, you know, the reason why you had this outcome, like I made a sauce and I put too much flour in the sauce, and so it was too thick. And I knew it was too thick, but for the video I kind of like pretended that it wasn't. And they said, you noticed that it was too thick is because you put too much flour in there. In the future, you can look at it from this perspective and you'll know a better way of basically measuring how much flour you can put in. And that's excellent. That's really good advice. Same with like not having the right quantity of potatoes in the crock pot for the scallop potatoes as well. So just continuously like reinforcing, like positive reinforcement on like things that I can do better when making it in the future. And that is what I really appreciate, because cooking is frankly very stressful for me. I spend a lot of time at work. I'm not going to talk about it, but you spend all that time at work and you're stressed, and then you go and you try to do something that's not stressful and it ends up stressing you out as well. A lot of people find cooking relaxing, right? They find cooking that's their therapy. And for me, this particular meal is my therapy, but most of the time cooking is not. Cooking is a whole other beast in and of itself. So in future, now that I have practiced the scalloped potatoes, I can add the right amount of flour to start. I can slowly whisk in the liquid to my roux so that there isn't that separation that I experienced. And frankly, I knew that already. I've read the cookbooks. I've seen the instructions on how it's supposed to be done. And I just didn't do it because I was lazy. And the consequences of that are that now I film myself doing it and I post it out on the internet and everybody else is going to notice as well. Luckily, we're still a small channel. We're well on our way to hitting 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which is our ultimate goal, so that we can become a YouTube partner. But regardless, this is still going out to hundreds of people every single day. And the fact that it's going out to so many people means that I open myself up to a lot of criticism. The fact that some of you have been given really good advice without criticizing me, or at least you are productively, has been really awesome. I just want to say thank you to all of that. And the people who criticize me rudely, that's kind of just what I expect. I'm not going to thank you for it. But I thought that that's what all the comments were going to be. It's the internet, after all. Everyone on the internet is savage, including myself. So I know how it goes. What's the phrase? If you can dish it out, but you can't take it. That's what my dad used to say to me a lot. He's like, if you dish it out, you got to be able to take it just the same. You can't be the one who dishes it out all the time. It's like, all right, you're right. You're right, Dad. Okay. Another benefit of going to our tried and true Nathan meal, as what we have become accustomed to enjoying, is that we get our end of meal ritual, which is, of course, the ritual where we weigh our food. for consistently over 2 pounds, and I have been keeping the weight of my food a secret for the last couple of weeks. It's time to break that curse. So we have our rotisserie chicken. I'm going to break a breast off, and I think that'll be perfect. One chicken breast will be good. I think we just broke our wishbone right there, so no wishes for you. No wishes for you, or for me. That's fine. Oh, it's fair. And we'll cut up our rotisserie chicken here. We'll keep the carcass, because who knows, maybe we'll start making chicken stock once again. I've been on a coffee grind the last couple of weeks. Love coffee. Doesn't need to be special. I drink it about the same way as I make my food, which is just black out of a pot. When I traveled into Arizona for work, they had a espresso machine there and a Keurig. And the person who was giving me the tour insisted on making me an espresso machine, or like an espresso, or having me make one. I was like, I'll be completely honest with you, I don't know how to use an espresso machine. I went, oh, it's super easy. All you need to do is do these like 3 or 4 steps, and boom, you have half of a cup of coffee. It's like, yeah. So she made the espresso for me. I was very thankful for it. And it was good. It was good. Kicked me in the pants, which is what I like. But frankly, for me, if it's not in a pot, if I can't just fill it full of coffee grounds, press a button, and have it fill to the top, too complicated for me. Not a new process I want to learn. That being said, Noah is a bit of a coffee guy. He knows his coffee. And so I've been tempted to get him like a really nice coffee machine, like an espresso machine. You know, I got him like this new rice cooker, but we both knew it was basically just for me. And now that the bottom is kind of flaked off again, I don't think he has any interest in using it, because it's basically in worse condition than it was before I got him this. But I think a nice coffee machine for him would be excellent. We'll see though. We'll see. Because there's a benefit to just the convenience of the Keurig. This is his Keurig right here. And there is a downside to having a nice coffee machine, and there's like really no space to put one. Like basically if we got a coffee machine, we'd have to pull all of this out, including the rice maker, just to fit it in here. And I think all of the hot air that came up would warp these cabinets. There's no room over here either. And this space over here is perfect for our keys and extra pots and pans for when I'm cooking. And frankly, leaving it up here wouldn't work either. So do I want to get him a coffee machine? Absolutely. Especially this year with a new job. I think that would be a nice treat for him, because he's good to me. He's good people. We like good people. Unfortunately, I don't think that's in the cards. We have this nice kitchen and this nice countertop, and no space to put a coffee machine. So, we're in the final steps of our Nathan meal. We have our nice big pieces of potato that are fried up in our coconut oil. We have our nice onion, which is not our sweet onion, because I accidentally grabbed sweet onion instead of traditional yellow onion. Which, by the way, the onions were in the yellow onion section. So it was the store people that put the sweet onions in the yellow onion section. I checked. I remember being there. I had the exact same question to myself. And I went, this looks kind of weird. These look, the sweet onions and the yellow onions are right next to each other. I want to make sure I get the right ones. So I'm going to be extra careful to get the ones in the yellow onion section. Nope. They either mixed them together or they misplaced them. So we have our leftover rice. Good so that we do not blow our glucosamine index any higher than it needs to. We have our other rice that we're cooking up that we'll keep for tomorrow. We have our lovely roommate coming in from the garage.
Smash rice.
Did you see the photo of the teriyaki rice burger from like Jack in the Box that I posted on Instagram a while ago?
No.
That's the type of stuff that they had in Japan. That's what people were complaining that I didn't try out when I was in Japan. Do you want like a patty of rice and a burger covered in teriyaki sauce for your meal? Does that sound appetizing to you?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I would eat that.
I
might make that.
I wouldn't do that. I would never do something like that. That sounds like a bathroom accident waiting to happen.
Never sounds like an absolute, which, what do we know about absolute?
That only my internet persona uses those words. Smash rice.
Smash rice.
Yeah, all I got when I was in Japan was like double burgers, not the rice burgers. It's almost like we don't have enough peas in there. Don't worry, I will go back to Japan. We will have a return of the Japan videos. I think I mentioned this earlier. I didn't realize how big DoorDash was in Japan. I saw a couple of people on bikes like delivering things on DoorDash, but I didn't think it was really big. So next time I'm in Japan, I'll just have DoorDash meals to pick from. I did think it was cool to try out like one, just like a fast food, because that's where people would go like after all the stores, not stores, like the restaurants closed down when all of the businessmen went out to have their drinking parties and stuff. But I spent several times going to like the convenience stores, the 7-Eleven, to give you like 7-Eleven food that was in Japan. And it was fantastic. I mean, I just learned recently that you can pay your taxes at 7-Eleven in Japan. What? They have all sorts, they have fax machines, they have all sorts of stuff. So yeah, you can pay your property taxes at a 7-Eleven, but I digress. The point was is like they had noodles, they had onigiri, they had pork buns, they had these little chicken snacks. So they had whole meals that you could heat up, as well as just little snacks that were out there. And the quality is like really good. Obviously, compared to what you can get at a restaurant, it's nothing. But like if you just needed to pick something up for, I mean, I was grabbing these things for like $4, 500 yen. It's like kind of incredible. I will be going back. I've gone to Japan twice now, so I'd love to do some traveling in some other areas other than Japan. But as every 20-something-year-old white guy who's been to Japan, it's awesome. So I can't break the stereotype. Us 25-year-old white guys love Japan. And now I've been, and now I've caught the bug. Interestingly enough, I believe after we returned, there were some new updates that came through. I know that they've been dealing with some over-tourism issues. And by over-tourism, I don't mean they're making too much money, but like Japan has its own culture, and they're a culture of people that like really like their privacy. Not like their privacy. Their privacy is legally protected under the law. So like when you and I would go out in public and take a photo of our food, for example, or just for whatever reason, like you're just out with friends, you just want to take a photo on the street, that's just straight up illegal in Japan, because it's just not legal for you to take a photo of somebody and have like somebody else's like face in the background. You know, a lot of the people that are posting like photos of themselves would like put face filters on, not to make them look more attractive, but to make them less identifiable, so that you couldn't recognize them when you're out in public, which is fascinating because Japan is, I believe, the largest city in the world. If not, it's Seoul, which is in Korea. It's like it's the first or second largest city in the world. So the odds of you encountering the same person twice are just incredibly rare, even if you're in like the same prefecture. But the laws are so robust to protect people's privacy that's why I didn't film any videos when I was going out and about, because I just didn't want to. I wasn't worried about getting arrested. I was just like, I just didn't want to like be an asshole. I already heard the stories about like American streamers going over there being complete, just straight up dickheads. I just didn't want to be that person. So anyway, after we returned, I saw some stories that I don't know are true, but I wouldn't be surprised if they are, that now they're just banning like non-Japan people, like tourists and people who are not citizens, from just entering certain cities and prefectures altogether, and entering like using certain types of transportation altogether, as well as they just have to pay more money to go to the places that they want to go. Because obviously, like the reason why I like Japan is because my dollar goes a long way out there. So now if you're like clearly not Japanese, they'll just charge you more money. And frankly, I think that's fair. That's not something that you could like get away with in America and be like, oh, you're like not American, we're gonna double your price. But for a country like Japan that's run by an emperor, yeah, you can kind of get away with that. So I don't see any reason why a country that's run that way can't impose something like that. Kind of, like I said, it kind of makes sense. Regardless, I still want to go back. They have the best juicy dumplings in the world. It's pretty fantastic. Ginger highball is fantastic. You've heard me talk before. It's just like I don't drink alcohol in any time that I have to. I'm going to be like speaking to people. I've just decided that like drinking alcohol is not something that I want to do. Anytime I have to be responsible for my words, I think that's the best way to put it. Is I just don't want to be drinking alcohol, and I'm almost always have to be responsible for my words, no matter what situation I'm in, especially for my job. So anytime that I'm on a phone call, anytime I can get a phone call from somebody, anytime that I'm out with friends, like I just don't want to say something that is stupid. And I think all of us, when we've been drinking even just a little bit, have said like stupid things, or just things that like we just, in hindsight, wish that we hadn't have said. In Japan, however, I don't really need to worry about how I behave, like speak a whole lot, because no one can understand what I'm saying, because I don't live there. I don't speak Japanese and they don't speak English, so they don't know what I'm saying. There's a culture out there as well that if you go out drinking with your boss, whatever happens when you're out drinking with your boss stays when you're out drinking with your boss. And when you go back to the office, none of that comes with you, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of like whatever stays in Vegas, happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas kind of attitude. But it's every Friday night, which is kind of funny. And then as well, it's like I'm on vacation. So I did work when I was out there before, but I was like never intoxicated during working hours when I was out there, obviously. So it's just like a combination of things. That being said, the ginger highballs out there are freaking awesome. It's just like this, it just like tastes like ginger beer, but way better because they have this sochu that goes with it. Just fantastic. So I can't wait to go back. I'm gonna have to, but I cannot wait to go back. I think it's about that time of year to start planning for that trip once again. So I've been waiting for this to finish cooking up for a while. I turned my heat up pretty substantially as well, and it still hasn't cooked up to where I want it to be. So let's get the final stages of our meal ready to go. You've been hearing me ramble long enough, which I know is what you're here for. I know that's what you're here for. You want to hear me ramble. My dad told me ever since I was a little kid, he's like, you got the gift of the gab, which I think is just a nice way of saying that I never shut up. And I appreciate him for saying that, because you know what? He's got the gift of the gab too. Both of us have a voice for radio. And I'm not opposed to that. So let's see what we have going. We have nice color on all of this. The egg has incorporated well. into our meal. I did not clean the stove over the weekend, which is bad of me. Very bad, Nathan. Should have cleaned the stove. I think that means it is time to get our Nathan meal arranged, which is nice. This is our plating service right here. You know, I'm running the line right now, so I'm running the cooktop and the line. So we're plating this for our patrons, and we're plating it just the way they like it. And what they like is the largest bowl that you can get at Costco, followed by just a massive mound, a massive pile of stuff. There we go, and I made a little bit of a mess. We lost a little bit here. Don't worry, I'm not going to throw that back. This is going in the trash. Okay. Well, don't head off just yet. The best part is happening right now. The part you've all been waiting for. The part you've all been looking forward to. It is the wait of the day. Drum roll, please. It's definitely going to be more than 2 pounds. Will we hit 3? There we go, 2.58 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, 2.58 pounds. Fantastic. Well, it was great reconnecting with all of you and taking part in our age-old tradition of weighing our food. Thank you all for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. All right, thanks. See you then. Bye.